What's up there guys? Hope you're all doing well. Gal with the Count 23 and I'm here with the last of this year's Halloween Horror Nights. I'm going to be doing it a little bit different this week, well actually completely different this week because there's going to be no kind of random horror movies, no picking out of an ice cream tub, none of that stuff. I just wanted something a little bit special to do for this year's final edition of Halloween Horror Nights. Now this year is officially the 10th, and well, it came out 10 years ago, it's not quite 10th anniversary, of the original Saw film, which is I'm a very big fan of. I know a lot of people are. Well, not re-energised the horror genre, but it kick-started the whole kind of torture porn horror subgenre, which I'm not really a big fan of that of the name of that genre, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I wanted to do something special, and what more special would it be than to work my way through this bad boy? And that's right, I'm going to be watching every single Saw film from the first one all the way to the 7th one. Now the sequels have varying degrees of goodness. Some of them are pretty damn good, some of them are pretty damn shite really. Yeah, and also I was looking at HMV the other day and I saw they were selling this for 70 quid. Swivel. Anyway, so yeah, I'm watching every single Saw film, 7 of them. Now, I'm hoping to do this in one day, but I don't think I'll be able to, so it might be spread over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. I mean, it's nearly 4 o'clock now, so I might get 3 or 4 in. It depends when I kind of want to stop watching them, or when I need to go to bed, really. But yeah, like I say, big fan of these films. Some of them more than others. I mean, the 7th one was pretty much a complete cop-out, but yeah, really nice box set as well. I think I did this in a Blu-ray update I think a couple of months ago, I think. No, about a month and a half maybe. Nice hard box with all the random films, just all the films in their separate trays. So yeah, really looking forward to doing this actually. It's just something I wanted to do. Now I know in the US they actually are re-releasing the first film in cinemas, which I don't think they're going to do over here. They don't usually do that kind of stuff. I mean, they never re-released Texas Chainsaw Massacre when it was in the when they did in the US, which is kind of disappointing because I'd love to see that at the cinema. But yeah, this I'll have to do for now, I suppose. But yeah, I'm a big fan of these films, and I'm looking forward to checking them out. Also, I'll be watching all of these for the first time on Blu-ray. So kind of, because I just kind of bought them on DVD, all the films kind of separately on DVD. Then I just kind of didn't bother. I just didn't bother kind of upgrading to Blu-ray. Just didn't see much point. But yeah, but that was kind of before I started kind of watching Blu-rays properly. Because when I first started watching Blu-rays, I was like, what's all this grain stuff? I remember watching Pulp Fiction for the first time and I thought, this doesn't look that much better. But then I kind of grew to kind of knew what kind of Blu-ray was itself. But yeah, what was on for far too long. So the first film I'm going to be watching, which ironically is the first film in this series, which is Saw. So yeah, just on the main menu of the first Saw film, like you can see there. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to doing this. It's something I'd wanted to do for quite a long time, and I just kind of got the chance to do it now. Got a chance to hunker down. Got my shitty peach flavoured Stillwater for Christ's sake. I mean, and I got my Mars things. I freaking love these things. I could eat these all day if I could, but I'd have no teeth left. But yeah, really spooky. I mean, it's not kind of the ideal time to do this because it's like broad daylight outside, so it's not really particularly atmospheric. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I still remember the first time I ever watched it on DVD. That twist totally freaked me out. But yeah, really looking forward to doing this, and let's get going with the first Saw film. I'll obviously give my thoughts on the film after I've actually watched it, and I'll watch the second one and third one, 4th, 5, 6, 7, and that'll do. So yeah, let's get going. Yep, so that was Saw 1. really good horror film. I mean, when it came out, it really got very good reviews. It was a very low budget. It's very low budget, but it's got the scares in there. It's got the great script. It's got the violence in there as well, which a lot of people liked. Simple story. Basically, there's two guys who are chained up in either side of a massive bathroom, and they are captured by somebody and forced to play a game. I'm not going to go into it because you haven't seen it, but one person has to do one thing, another person has to do another thing. They have a limited time to do it, and while they're doing that, there's kind of in the world around, the world outside. There's a serial killer going about, again capturing people and making them play games to basically to value their life. They kind of takes something they've done or some kind of emotion they feel, and kind of made a trap kind of around that and tried to kind of, like I say, make people value their life. But it's really great film. When it came out, people were like, wow, that is really good. From a first-time writer-directors, Lee Whannell, who wrote it and also starred in it, and also James Wan, who directed it, and obviously went on to very much critical acclaim with films like Insidious and The Conjuring, which I still haven't seen both of those films, but I've heard they're very good. Also Carrie Elwes in there as well. You got Tobin Bell, you got Shawnee Smith, you got Michael Emerson, you got Monica Potter. Really good cast. I mean, it's probably actually got that good a cast to being a kind of a, like I say, from a first-time writer-director and kind of a low-budget film. Really great cast for that. Some of the acting in some of the scenes were a little bit iffy, but that's the only really real negative. And also, it's lost a bit of its impact kind of after watching it, because I watched it about 4 or 5 times. It's kind of lost its impact a little bit. And the other thing I did notice, the Blu-ray quality is not very good whatsoever. I mean, it looked barely better than DVD, but I'm guessing that kind of the quality of the Blu-ray quality will kind of be better kind of in further installments of the franchise. But apart from that, very good start to the like I say, Saw franchise. And if you haven't seen it already, I'm pretty sure there's nobody who hasn't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's a really well done for a low budget horror film, and some great scares in there, some jump scares, some kind of psychological scares, a lot of violence in there, which is always good for the gore hounds and what have you. So yeah, very much enjoyed it. Not quite as much as maybe the first. I still remember the first time watching it. It was like I was in a room. It was on a tiny television. It was DVD. I think I probably used my PS2 or something. And I think it was DVD combo actually. I think I remember it was like a shitty TV with a DVD player in it. And I was watching it kind of before I had to kind of go out and do something. I remember kind of trying to rush to see the rest of it. But yeah, so I mean, a few of these films do have kind of, well, not sentimental value, but kind of. But I appreciate different ones in different ways. Like there's one later on which, well, I'm not going to kind of, well, spoil it, but kind of, yeah, spoil it, I guess. But I'll get into that as the films go on. So yeah, that was Saw 1. Very much worth checking out. And that's it for the first film. So yeah, let's get on with Saw 2. I interrupt this Halloween Horror Nights Saw movie marathon, gotta try and say that 3 times fast, with a rather impromptu review of a horror film I checked out tonight. I went to the cinema to see this. I was going to go and see it last night, but I really wanted to see it as quick as I could, so I went tonight instead. Well, Saturday night. And this is my little kind of review of The Babadook, which is a Australian low-budget horror movie from, I believe, first-time director Jennifer Kent, starring, I think, Essie Davis, Noah Wiseman and Daniel Henschel. And this is the story of a character's name that I cannot think of, but a woman and her son who live together. Her husband died in a car crash on the way driving her to the hospital to have their child, which is why they don't celebrate his birthday on his actual day, because it has kind of negative connotations. And basically, the kid finds a book called The Babadook, which is a kind of a scary kind of children kind of horror story kind of thing. And basically this thing called the Babadook starts terrorising this family, and you kind of begin to find out kind of who or what this Babadook thing is. And I wanted to give kind of a quick little review because it is, I mean, I'm not sleeping tonight. It was the first film I was kind of genuinely really like chillingly terrified of since the first time I saw Mulholland Drive, which is kind of like the biggest compliment I could give this film, because Mulholland Drive still scared the shit out of me. But this one is just really, really well made, really well directed, really well acted, with a great script, some really good scares. It's like most of the kind of horror films nowadays, like I know Conjuring is very popular. I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard it is very good. And kind of like go like Insidious and all these kind of like found footage horror movies you get now. But it's kind of rare that there's a horror film that it doesn't kind of always rely on jump scares. This is much more of a kind of psychological horror film, which I'm a massive fan of if they're done well, and this one is done very well. It's low budget. I believe quite a lot of the kind of financing came from Kickstarter, which is really cool. It's kind of rare that you get like a low, because usually these kind of low budget efforts are pretty rubbish, but this one is really well made for the money they got. I believe about 30,000 was from Kickstarter, and the rest of it was kind of finances and stuff. But you don't really get good ones nowadays. But this one is very well. It does very well with kind of the money, with the what's the word? Well, they did good with the money they had. I'll say that. But it's just a genuinely terrifying, scary. I mean, you get. I'm not gonna. I'm getting kind of into spoiler territory here, but yeah. Well, I'm not going to go into it because I say it was kind of spoilerish. But I love the way this film is shot very, very well. It's a lot of muted colours. I mean, it honestly looks like they kind of filmed it in colour and then kind of like drained all the colour out of the scenes, which is really cool to see. It's almost black and white nearly. There's hardly any colour in any of the scenes, and it kind of shows that this woman's kind of her life basically kind of a psychological kind of state of mind, I guess. It's very it's just not much colour in it. Yeah, it's a really, really good film. I urge anyone to see it. It's been getting Empire, Kim Newman gave it 5 stars. Den of Geek gave it 5 stars, getting 5 stars almost all across the board. A few 4 stars, but nothing. It's a lot of very good fan reaction as well, which I believe even the director wasn't that was quite surprised by. But yeah, it's just really scary. If you can, I urge anyone to see this film. If you're just a fan of just films, kind of horror films that are out of the norm. I mean, it does have kind of like the horror movie tropes, like there are a few jump scares, but it's not overly done. It's got great kind of creature effects as well. I believe quite a lot of it was practical effects, which is really, really cool to see. Because some of these horror films rely quite a bit on CGI. It's really cool to see one that is mainly kind of practical effects. But the creature is really, really scary. There's some really probably one of the scariest kind of. It's not even a scene, it's just like a little shot. It's like really, really scary. Again, I don't want to get into too many spoilers again. That doesn't really matter. There's this scene where this woman's kind of watching this kind of news report on the TV. Oh, it really scares me even now. And it's just like watching this report on the TV of this apparently that this woman kind of stabbed a child to death and kind of killed herself. And she's like looking at the TV, and it's really scary. It's like that scene in Mulholland Drive with the 2 old people at the end. It's like she's kind of like looking at the TV, and she sees like a little kind of silhouette, and it's her face kind of in the window, and it just kind of like zooms in to just this woman's face, just like smiling, like really, really creepily. It really creeps me out even now. It's just genuinely scary. It's really well made. It's a sight to behold. It really is. Definitely the scariest film of the year, without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, I haven't actually seen that many horror movies this year, but not a lot of them have been getting like glowing reviews all across the board, which this film has. But it's terribly scary. It's creepy. It's incredibly well made. It's a marvel. It really is. But I still don't know if whether it's going to be kind of in my films of the year. I mean, it's quite a crowded list actually. I always kind of like find like a few that are definitely my kind of top films of the year, and then kind of like a month comes with like 3 films that I want to be one of my top films in the year as well. But yeah, I'd say definitely go and see it if you can. It is well worth your time if you're a horror fan. So yep, that's my little review of the Babadook, which is out in cinemas now, and it's also out on Blu-ray in Australia in about 10 days I think. So you can import the Blu-ray if you want to. But definitely give it a go, you won't be disappointed. So yeah, that's my little review. So yeah, let's go on with the Saw movie marathon with, I mean you can't really tell it is this film just like this, with, if I can get that, Saw 2. Got the Twisted Pictures logo here. And it's muted now, but yeah, so the next film in my Saw movie marathon will be Saw 2. Not my favourite sequel, but it's pretty good. So yeah, let's get going. Yep, so there we have Saw 2. A pretty decent but not exactly necessary sequel to the original film. The first film was that kind of a self-contained story in itself, but this one expands on that whole world. And in this one we have Donnie Wahlberg as Detective Eric Matthews, who is on the trail of the Jigsaw Killer from the first film, played by Tobin Bell. And then we've got a group of people that wake up in a house. Nobody knows who anybody else is, and nobody knows how they got there. And all the while they are ingesting this nerve toxin that Jigsaw is kind of pumping through the air vents. And they all have to try and find an antidote to this thing, which is in syringes, which is scattered throughout the house. But to get one of those syringes, there are tasks to perform, whether that be diving into a needle-infested pit to find a key, or having to get the numbers from the backs of people's heads to work out a combination to a safe which has an antidote in it. Different kinds of things, and of course this is what the Saw sequels are best known for, the different traps. And they got some pretty decent ones in there. They got the Venus fly trap, and then we've got the furnace trap as well. But not much of those kind of actual kind of physical kind of tests. I mean, oh sorry, traps even, and the more kind of like tests for each person. And yeah, it's decent. Like I say, not necessary. You've got the same characters. You got like in Jigsaw, Tobin Bell. You got Amanda, who is in the game from the first film. And by the way, in these kind of reviews, I'm going to be spoilerish, so kind of beware of spoilers. I'll put it in the title anyway. And of course, in the end, we find out that Amanda is actually helping Jigsaw in his endeavours, and who will be seeing a lot more through the sequels. And also Donnie Wahlberg, who is his character who is just starting to starting the cycle of one of the worst, definitely the person that's have to suffer the most through all these sequels, as he's in, I think, with two others, and he's put through the ringer in those films, I tell you. So he's got a lot of ways to go. But yeah, I like it. I still remember the first time ever watching it. I remember I was at college, and I started watching it with some of my friends. I don't think we finished it all, but yeah, it's just like quite nostalgic, that for me. I remember seeing it. I remember sitting there and just watching it, and all my friends kind of disgusted. But I was kind of interested in it. Now I can't remember whether that was before or after I saw the first one. I'm not quite sure, because I'm pretty sure I saw the second one and then I liked it and I wanted to see the first one, but I can't remember. But yeah, that's pretty cool. You got some other casting here. You got Emmanuel Vorgier, got Frankie G. He's been nothing since. You got Glenn Plummer. You also got Donnie Wahlberg, Dina Meyer, who was also in the first one, Lyric Bent, who was not in the first one. I thought he was, but he's not. So a decent cast. Again, acting was iffy at points, but he put the point across. You know, these people are suffering, and the performances kind of portrayed that. Pretty good music in this as well. Obviously, the next, I think, 3 or 4, well, including this, 3 or 4 films directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who, yeah, he's probably the longest, he's the longest running director for these films. Did a pretty good job. The other thing I did notice that, again, the Blu-ray quality in this is not very good at all. I've said before, I'm not kind of the biggest videophile. I mean, I can't kind of tell what is a good transfer and what is a bad transfer, but this one looked pretty bad. About the same as the first one, possibly even worse. You can kind of see like specks and everything. It just wasn't cleaned up very well. But I am hoping that the next few films will the quality will get better. But yeah, I enjoyed the second one, the Saw 2, and that'll do. So yeah, I'm gonna watch one more tonight. I just thought, what the hell? The clocks have gone back. I've got an extra hour. Why not watch another one? So yeah, I'll be watching Saw 3, and then that'll be it for tonight. So yep, the next film I'll be watching will be Saw 3. Yep, so that was Saw 3. Better than Saw 2 in my opinion. It also holds a special place in my horror heart, as it was the first ever 18 rated film I saw at the cinema. And it was when I was not 18. Yep, I was 17 when I saw this. I managed to get in because I looked older than I was. And I still remember going to see this film. I remember I was a bit late for one showing, so I was going to wait for the next showing. But I got my ticket first, and the guy at the counter actually gave me a ticket for the showing before, so I missed kind of the trailers on kind of the first couple of minutes, and I actually walked into the cinema just as Donnie Wahlberg, Eric Matthews broke his own foot, which is not the best place to to go into a cinema scene, but yep, there we go. So yeah, we got Jigsaw again, Jigsaw Killer. We've also got a guy called Jeff who is being captured again and is forced to work his way through a series of traps/tests. Basically, his son was killed by a driver, and kind of along the way he has to choose to rescue various people who were involved. Whether it be the judge who gave the guy who actually killed his son only 6 months, whether it be the woman who saw something but didn't come forward, or whether it be the actual killer himself. And yeah, so we got some pretty good traps in this one. It's actually one of my favourite traps is the what they call the rack at the end. They have the guy who's the killer is basically he's in kind of like a Jesus Christ pose kind of thing, and his head is in some kind of vice, his arm is in a vice, his other arm is in a vice, and both his legs are in a vice. And basically, after a while, the cogs start turning, and his arms start turning round, and then the other arm, and the leg, then the head, and it kind of just keeps coming round until kind of his arms break and his legs break, and his head kind of. It's a really cool effect. It's like the back of his head becomes the front of his head, which is really cool. That's probably my favourite trap in the Saw series so far. Definitely the better of the sequels so far. Yeah, got some pretty good acting. You got Shawnee Smith as Amanda. Then we got Angus McFadden as Jeff. Then we got very weird name Bahar Sumekh as Lynn Denlon. And yeah, the other, I forgot to mention, the other plot is basically Jigsaw is on his deathbed. Amanda is taking care of him, and he captures a woman called Lynn, and she is forced to keep him alive, otherwise a collar around her neck will trigger, and loads of shotgun shells will shoot into her face, which is always cool. And yeah, and then of course the twist is, basically, you don't know at the beginning, but you kind of find out that Jeff and Lynn are husband and wife, and they also have another daughter. I mean, to be honest, that twist isn't the best. I actually kind of saw it coming kind of a mile off. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you think about it. I mean, there was a scene kind of towards the beginning of the film where it's like her and this guy she's having an affair with. And she's like, what do you want from me? She's like, a divorce. And you think like he wants a divorce from her, but he wants a divorce from the other guy, or her to have a divorce from the other guy. And it's all kind of convoluted, but it's straightforward enough. But the twist wasn't that great. Like I said, I saw it coming. Some great gore in this though. Again, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. I think he directs one other film after this. I'm pretty sure one other film after this. And so I repeat myself, so I'm really tired. But yeah, decent sequel. Say better than Saw 2 in my opinion. And yeah, like I said, it's the first film I ever saw in the cinema 18. So yeah, oh man, my eyes. So yeah, that'll about do for Saw 3. And I'm spent, so I'm going to watch the last 4 tomorrow, or rather later on, because it's God knows what time it is. But yeah, that'll about do for me for tonight. Oh man, I'm screwed. So yeah, so that was Saw 3, so join me tomorrow for the next 4. So here we are, it is the next day, it is Sunday. I mean technically it was Sunday before, but it's now Sunday after I've had some sleep. So yeah, let's continue on with this Saw movie marathon with Saw 4, which personally contains my favourite twist of all the Saw sequels, possibly even the whole franchise. I still remember seeing this at the cinema as well. It was the same cinema I went to see Saw 3 on, although this time it actually was 18, which is always good. Yeah, I kind of read things about the twist in this film, but I just kind of didn't choose to believe any of them. But then kind of the twist came and I was like, yes, that is a fantastic twist. Well, I think there's kind of 2 twists in the film, but one is my favourite. So yeah, looking forward to checking this one out. Again, actually, it's one of my favourite Saw sequels, actually. Although it might be down to more the twist than anything else. But I do like the fact that it's kind of, it's not kind of confined to one place. It actually kind of, the guy who is captured kind of has to travel to different places to do all these tests, which is really cool to see. That kind of opened the world up a bit, which I really like. So yeah, let's get on with Saw 4. So that was Saw 4. So at the beginning of this film, the opening scene, we have the autopsy of John Kramer. That's right, Jigsaw is now officially dead. We have Detective Rigg, who is kidnapped and forced to play a series of games in order to save or not save a various group of people. We also have Detectives Strom and Perez, who are on the trail of Jigsaw and his various doings. We also have flashbacks to what made Jigsaw this way, what happened to John Kramer to make him become this kind of alter ego Jigsaw and play these kind of perverse, sick games with people. And another decent sequel. I think it's the twist that mainly I like the most in this film. Some of kind of the, I mean all these sequels are pretty unnecessary. You got more story, but if there's more story, there's more chance to go wrong, and something, especially in the future ones, kind of go pretty wrong. I've still got Donnie Wahlberg, who, as Detective Eric Matthews, has definitely suffered the most in these films. I mean, let's look at it. First, his son was kidnapped and forced to play a game, a deadly game. He was then kidnapped. He was chained to a pipe. He had to break his own foot off, or break his own foot, in order to release himself from the chain. And then he had to fight Amanda, who then kicked his foot. And then in this film, we find out he was taken again to this cell. He made friends with a rat. He was taken out again. He was hung above a block of ice. And then right at the end, his head gets squashed. I mean, that is a pretty big rap sheet for shittiness, really. But yeah, really cool traps in this one. Got the hair trap, the limb trap. What else we got? The pulling the spikes out. My favourite is probably the limb one. Basically, he kind of follows the clues to this hotel, and he forces this Rigg forces this guy onto this bed, and basically the guy has to push these 2 things, which releases these kind of spike things, which stab his eyes. And if he doesn't do that, his limbs get torn off, which is actually what happens because he doesn't do it in time. It's probably my favourite trap in the film, to be honest. Not one of my favourites of the franchise, but definitely one of the film. So the main thing I love about this film is the twist. I mean, you got all this stuff going on, and then you find out that this film is taking place alongside the events of the third film. That's right, the two films are running concurrently, which is, I'm pretty sure I've never done that in a kind of a horror film before, which is a really cool thing to do. And you kind of find out more. I mean, you see things in the film, then at the end you kind of find out how they all fit into place, which like a jigsaw, which is quite ironic. But yeah, I enjoy this one. I think I've seen all of them from here on out, from the third one to the end one in the cinema. I'm pretty sure. I might have missed one out, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I like this one. That twist was good. The twist that I didn't really like was the fact that that Detective Hoffman, aka Costas Mandylor, has now been named as the successor to Jigsaw. Basically, he was in on the game all the time. He was never going to get electrocuted, so he could have. I mean, Eric Matthews could have killed himself, and nothing would have happened. Yeah, the mausoleum trap is a good trap as well. It was the first trap of the film. But I like the way the series is going. Yeah, but some of the kind of the future sequels aren't that great, but I'll get to those when I actually watch them. So yeah, that was Saw 4. So that was it. So yeah, I'm going to move straight on with the next film, which is Saw 5. So that was Saw 5. Definitely the weakest of the sequels. I didn't particularly like this one that much at all. I mean, kind of characters I don't particularly like got away with too much stuff. The traps weren't that good. I mean, the main kind of like series of traps kind of thing didn't really link up to the rest of it. I mean, we've got 5 people in one room. So the first room, they've all got kind of a collar around the neck, and they have to reach for some keys in front of them. But basically, if someone goes forward, someone else goes back, and there's like razor blades on the wall. And if one kind of snaps back or whatever, like someone gets their head cut off. And then the next one is, the second one is there's kind of like glass jars on the ceiling, and I think there's 3 kind of bunker kind of things like in the wall. There's like kind of holes that there's like keys in the glass thing. They have to smash them, find the key, open it up, and kind of hide in the thing before these nail bombs go off. The next one is there's a bathtub in the middle of the floor, and there's 5 electricity things. Basically, they're supposed to kind of stand in the bath or whatever. Then it kind of closes a kind of a circuit, and then it kind of opens the doors. And the 5th one, which is probably my favourite, there's 5 holes, and basically they have to fill a 10-pint jug with blood. But they have to kind of put their arms in these holes and kind of shed the blood to kind of open the door. And so I've kind of about 50 times now. And basically, but the little twist was the fact that they were meant to work together. I mean, in the first room, one key would unlock each of the collars. In the second room, there was enough space in 1 or 2 of the holes for 2 people to hide in, so that all could have survived. And the next one, each of the 5 people could have taken an electricity thing and only been electrocuted not very much. And then the 5th one, on the room after that, they could have all kind of stuck the hand in, and kind of more people, more blood, so it would open easily. And the whole thing is about basically they were supposed to work together, and they also find out that they're kind of connected. Basically, somebody paid this guy to burn down a building, and basically he didn't know, he thought it was an abandoned building, and then he didn't know there was 8 people in there, and he burned it down, 8 people died. And it basically is the guy who set the fire. There's the woman who works in town planning. There's an investigative journalist who was writing the story on what happened. And basically, they all find out they're all connected in some way. But I mean, they were connected together, fair enough. But none of them were kind of connected to anything really to do with the rest of the film. It just felt like. It felt like some of the traps were kind of an afterthought, you know? and kind of most of it was supposed to be carrying on the story of we've got Detective Hoffman again, who is the confirmed successor to Jigsaw. Basically in flashbacks as well, you find out kind of how he met, how they started working together, and he find out he helped on the second, no, the he helped during the third movie and the fourth movie, and you kind of see how he kind of is linked to to the kind of different stuff that's happened. That was fair enough, and then you had Peter Storm kind of following Hoffman, and then he dies in the end. There's no kind of like massive kind of ending twist which all the other films had, apart from the whole kind of working together thing, which wasn't that great. We've got some good acting in this though. They got the lovely Megan Good and the even lovelier Julie Benz as two of the people in the kind of the traps. And it's got again Tobin Bell, Costas Mandylor, Scott Patterson. I also brought some people back from the earlier films, like the guy who had to walk through all the barbed wire in the first film. He's kind of in a flashback, and I'm sure he had more hair in the flashback than he did kind of when they actually did the trap, which is kind of continuity errors. But yeah, and also is noted for the first Saw sequel not to be directed by Dan Lynn Bousman. He's now directed by David Hackle, who was the production designer on 2, 3 and 4. He did a good enough job, so I don't think the script was that good. The story was kind of boring really. Nothing that much kind of forwarded the story. It's kind of like a stopgap to the last two. So yeah, definitely my least favourite of the sequels. It wasn't that great. Although I do remember a funny story. I saw this at the cinema, and there's this scene at the end where they're doing the kind of putting the hand in these machines. Basically, it kind of like cuts their kind of the hands there. And I remember there's this shot where one of the guys kind of holds his hand up and like the thing kind of comes apart. I remember that one of the ushers from the cinema came into the cinema just as he was doing that, and then she kind of left straight afterwards, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, so not. I mean, it's worse than I remember it being. I thought it was quite good when I first saw it, but not anymore. Definitely my least favourite of the sequels. But yeah, so we have 2 more. So next up will be Saw. Hang on, 6. That's the one. Or yeah, 6. 6, that's the one. You do the thumb, don't you? Yeah, so next will be Saw 6. So that was Saw 6. And of course, it's not like I'm recording this 4 hours later or anything. But yeah, in this one, it's again another pretty weak sequel. But yeah, we got again someone who gets kidnapped to again go through a series of tests to again decide whether to save or not save somebody. And it's all kind of getting a little bit samey now. We've also got Detective Hoffman, and the FBI are hot on his trails outing him or finding out that he is the successor to Jigsaw. It's another one of those films that kind of tries to advance the story more. But I suppose at least the guy who gets kidnapped has kind of some kind of connection to John Kramer. Basically, he is a health insurance, or sells health insurance, and basically his main job is to kind of, and he has people who does this for him, kind of find discrepancies in people's kind of health insurance. Basically con people, basically. And basically he gets kidnapped, and the people he has to try and save or decide whether to save or not are the people who work for him, and for various reasons he has to decide. And it's just, it honestly is like they were just kind of like running out of ideas, like I said. But yeah, I don't think it's the worst sequel though. I still think Saw 5 was pretty weak. But at least in that, well, I suppose in that one you did get kind of more well-known actors. And of course, and also one of these traps, I believe there was a documentary series called Scream Queens, and basically the prize was to star in this film, and the opening trap was the woman who won it, which is yeah, interesting. Yeah, the traps again, they are getting bigger. There's more. I think probably this one. There's one trap in this that involves probably the most people in a single trap. Basically, there's this carousel thing that goes around, and there's like I think about 6 people who are the people who find discrepancies in people's health insurance, and they're going around a thing, and then he has to decide who to save. Basically, there's like a shotgun pointing at them, and whoever it stops at, he has to choose whether to save or not by putting his hand and pressing these two buttons. And basically, this spike thing kind of comes down on his hand, and that's probably the best trap of the film, or at least the most elaborate and most kind of all-encompassing, I guess. There's just more people in it, and it's just bigger. Yeah, so but apart from that, the traps were pretty weak. There's one good one though, was the opening one, where basically there's two people and they have to at the end of 60 seconds basically have the most weight of their of body parts basically on this scale, and whoever kind of has the least gets their kind of temples crushed. That was a pretty good one. Well, probably pretty damn gruesome as well, but yeah, it's just honestly, like they've just kind of ran out of ideas, and I think they kind of jumped the shark maybe a couple of films ago. I think probably I think they should have stopped at 5, to be honest, but because it's not really bringing that much more to the story. I mean, you get more kind of plot points, story points that kind of that link up to things that happened in the past, and you're getting more of Jill's involvement, Jigsaw's girlfriend, into the whole equation. So yeah, it's more advancing the story than it is kind of any kind of trap stuff. But it's decent enough, but it's still not, like I said, they should have stopped at 5 really, to be honest. So that was Saw 6, and yeah, the next one will be the final stop in our Saw Odyssey. Sorry, I keep doing that. But yeah, of course, the next one was to be the first and the last to be shown in 3D, which is basically they're just kind of milking more money out of it really now. I mean, which is kind of the natural progression of where the series was going really. I think if there were more films, like more be 3D, maybe in like one would be like a D box or something. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. So yeah, the next and last film in this marathon will be Saw 7. So yep, there we have it. The final film in my Halloween Horror Nights Saw movie marathon with Saw 7, or Saw 3D, or Saw the Final Chapter, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's been an interesting weekend, so join me in 2 seconds while I'll be giving a detailed rundown on the weekend's events. So yep, then we had Saw 7, which actually saw the return of Dr. Lawrence Gordon. That's right, he is back. There's like a little flashback. It's funny, it's a little kind of flashback scene at the beginning, kind of which shows kind of what happened after he escaped the bathroom, and somehow he has put on a lot of weight in the space of 10 minutes, which is kind of funny. Which is well, not specific continuity. I mean, Carrie Elwes is hardly going to lose weight just for the role. There's no point. Yeah, I mean, this film is not that great. I always remember every single time a Saw film came out, I looked on IMDb, and nearly like a lot of the thing was, when's Lawrence Gordon going to come back? Is Lawrence Gordon dead? Is he alive? We found clues that he might be still alive. And then they answer these questions by having him alive in the final film, and it's just kind of, it's just really, like, it just wraps it up really, really quickly. It's like a 3-minute scene near the end, which kind of tells you kind of what happened afterwards, and it's like, I mean, really, is it really that quick? You know, it was like he was just there just to, as like a fan service, but they did it in completely the wrong way. I mean, he was in it for a little bit at the beginning, and then like for a little bit at the end, but he never kind of comes up in any other bits of the film. It's kind of a wasted opportunity. I don't know how they could have done it better, but they just could have. But then you got a guy called Bobby, who's basically, he had been lying about being in a jigsaw trap, and basically he kind of sold his story and is earning loads of money, and he's got a really nice wife and a great PR team, and basically he is again kidnapped and again, because I again about 50 times, forced to decide whether to let people live or die. Yeah, it's got cool traps in here. Like there's a woman with a fish hook down her throat, which is attached to a key, and the guy has to pull it. But the thing is, if she shouts or screams too hard, these 4 little hollow pipes kind of come forward into her throat. which is a really cool trap. And you got another which is kind of the same, where like this these three again hollow pipes, and this woman is kind of like being slowly kind of put forward to these spikes, and it's like the guy has to lift these weights up, which kind of presses these spikes into his chest, into his sides, and he has to kind of like keep it up there for I think about 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 30 seconds, which is another really cool one. But that's the only real kind of really cool ones. I do like the fact that the final trap he has to do was the trap that he lied about being in his whole shtick, which is a pretty cool little thing to do. But yeah, it's just kind of, it's basically Detective Hoffman trying to get to Jill because he's pissed off. That's basically it. There's no kind of other really real motive about it. Got Chad Donnella as I can't remember his name. Is that not that important? Who Hoffman kind of saved like years ago, and then he kind of screwed him over, and is kind of getting him back. But we've also got another really cool trap, probably one of my favourite of the franchise actually, is basically the guy super glued to a car, or the seat of a car, and he has to grab forward for this lever. Basically there's the guy behind him with a hook through his jaw and his arms, and I think his legs, but I think just his arms, and there's his girlfriend kind of beneath the car. The wheels are spinning, and if it goes kind of if it drops too much, she kind of gets a tire to the face, and there's a guy kind of strapped to the garage door as well. And you got Chester Bennington playing the guy in the chair. I mean, I don't know why nobody's kind of thought of having him in a horror film before, because he's a brilliant screamer, I'll give it that much. That's probably the kind of the best thing about him. Is really good at screaming. He's got a really kind of guttural scream, which is kind of cool, really. That's probably my favourite trap, like I say, of the because it kind of involves so many people in a kind of short space of time. Like the car drops down, she gets a face of tyre, or she gets a face full of tyre, and then the other guy gets his arms and jaw ripped off, and then the other guy on the thing gets basically more or less kind of run in half, which is pretty cool to see. Then he kind of then he crashes into a car, goes through the windshield and dies, which is a really cool trap, like I said, because it's quite elaborate as well, which I really liked. But it was just kind of annoying, the whole Lawrence Gordon thing. Then I say they bring him back and how to even use him. It's just like a cop out. I mean, I still don't even know, because like a scene at the end where it's like three people kind of beat up Hoffman and kind of take him to the bathroom again, but you never kind of find out who the two other people are. I mean, is it his wife and his daughter? Is it maybe Amanda's still alive, but no, it's impossible? And then who else could it be? And you just think, it's like, you never find out. It's just a total cop out. So yeah, not a very good one. And also because the first one to be filmed, well, not even filmed in 3D, it was post converted into 3D. Not that well. I remember seeing it in 3D when it came out. It wasn't that great. There were a few scenes where, especially the one with kind of the spikes near her face, the 3D was pretty cool there, but apart from that it was nothing really. But yeah, it was kind of where the series was going. I mean, they'd exhausted all other stuff. I mean, the traps were getting kind of samey and boring. The story wasn't that brilliant anyway. So there's kind of, what else can we do to kind of refresh it a little bit, maybe get some more money out of people, and that's do it into 3D, which didn't really work. I don't know if they kind of stopped doing these films because people weren't watching them, but I mean, there must be some reason why it is the most profitable horror movie franchise of all time. I mean, they must be doing something right, but I'm guessing they just kind of decided to stop, which is good, because like I said before, kind of jumped the shark at maybe like, I think we should have stopped at 5. That's only really because that's like a good number to round off at. Could have even finished at number 4, but if you keep going, it's going to snowball, it's going to get bigger, and but it just doesn't really work. But yeah, I really enjoy the franchise in itself. Like I say, it's very profitable, and I do have heard that they are thinking of doing another film, I think next year or the year after. yeah, if it's going to be something different, fair enough, but it's just going to be kind of the same stuff. There's not much not that much point in doing it really. There's not much more that can go with a story. I mean, you know, kind of all the Lawrence Gordon stuff, which people kind of cared about before, but they don't really care about now. But yeah, like I say, I do enjoy the franchise. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I went to see every single Saw film from Saw 3 onwards, which is really cool. It's good to also get watch horror films with an audience as well, so you get kind of more involved in it. But I did like that. It was cool. It was a thing to do every year around Halloween. Remember that was the first horror franchise to have a film every year, kind of come out at the same time, it kind of became a staple of Halloween. It was Halloween. It was a Saw movie. With a Saw movie, it must be Halloween kind of thing, which is a cool thing to see, because you don't get there's the PA franchise, but they're just kind of like churn those out any kind of time. I mean, time travel. It's time travel in a found footage movie. What are you doing? But yeah, I'm not gonna kind of badmouth it. I mean, I've only seen the first one, and the first one I didn't think was that good anyway. That's the PA franchise. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is a great franchise, but there's more kind of dud films in that than there is in this one. It's constantly, it's fun, it's involving, it's gory, it kind of what's the word? It involves the kind of the gorehounds, which I am one of. But it got to a point where at the end it was kind of the traps was just an afterthought, and it's just kind of like we want to kind of advance the story of the kind of the Saw universe, which sometimes didn't really work. But I can't think of anything that much else to say about it really. So yeah, I've had a really cool fun time doing this. I've been wanting to do it for quite a while, and I just wanted to kind of wait till I got all the films. To be honest, not that big up on the Blu-ray transfer. I mean, the transfer for the first one was very, very poor in my opinion. I think Blu-ray.com gave it 2.5. And also I have also found that you do lose quite a lot of the special features as well, which is the main reason I'll be keeping my DVDs, because it's only, I think, from like I think maybe 3 or 4 was when you were getting all the extras. The first 2 or 3 was quite like the commentaries you weren't getting. There's a few special features that were missing. I know that especially on the first one, I own the 2-disc DVD. There's a lot of special features on this, which only about half of them are on that, which is kind of disappointing. It did get better kind of towards, it got kind of incrementally better when each film, but yeah, I would expect more from Blu-ray really. I mean, to be honest, I could probably just keep my DVD and sell that, because I don't know, it just didn't really look that good to me. Especially the first one. Honestly, the first one looked really, really bad, which is again while I'll be keeping my DVD. And I also remember that Saw 4 was the first film I ever imported from the US on DVD, because it came out like I mean, it's the same as now. It kind of came out kind of ages afterwards in the UK than it did in the US. So I imported the US DVD. Yeah, and yeah, so it's just fun. I mean, some people don't like them, fair enough. Like I say, it did get kind of tedious towards the end. There weren't enough elaborate traps. They were just getting kind of the same, and they were expanding on the story, but they weren't really expanding on the traps, which is kind of disappointing, because that was the main draw for quite a lot of people, kind of like finding out what the new traps were going to be. Which was cool, but like I say, it just got a bit samey towards the end, and yeah, that is about it. So yeah, like I say, I've had fun. I don't think I would have been able to handle it if it would have been like a 24-hour marathon. I'm glad I kind of spaced out between 2 days. I'm pretty sure I have watched all of them within 48 hours, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And also saw a couple of cinema films in the interim. I saw The Babadook, which I gave a little review of earlier, and then earlier on today I went to watch Fury, incredible film. So yeah, it's been fun, it's been tiring. I mean, I'm absolutely knackered now, which is why I'm repeating myself quite a bit. I don't mind bothering because nobody probably watches anyway, or at least if they do, they won't get this far. But yeah, I'm just really tired. I got to go to work tomorrow night. I just can't be bothered. But that's kind of personal life kind of stuff, so I don't want to bore you with all those details. So yeah, that has been my Halloween Horror Nights Saw movie marathon and my Halloween Horror Nights for 2014. So yeah, not as good feedback as last year's. I know quite a lot of people who watched it last year weren't watching it this year, which is fair enough. I am a boring fucker, so that is absolutely fair enough. Was there anything else? Yeah, like I said, I think I mentioned it before. I'm going to go and see The Exorcist at my local cinema on Halloween night, which is going to be really, really cool. I've never seen that at the cinema, so it'll be really cool to see that with an audience. But yeah, it's been Halloween. It's been Halloween Horror Nights. It's been my Halloween Horror Nights Saw movie marathon. I'm spent, man. I really need to go to bed. So yeah, I'll wrap this one right up now. So thanks as always for watching. Thanks for getting this far if you did, or if you kind of skipped through quite a lot of it. I have no idea how long this is going to be, or even how long it's going to take me to edit and upload. Probably going to be a couple of days, so you might see this kind of hopefully Monday, probably Tuesday, probably even Wednesday. So yeah, I'll sign off right now. It's been Go with the Camera 23 with my Saw movie marathon. I'm done, I'm tired, I'm spent. Thanks for watching.